The image legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth II did not inherit a fully formed image. She constructed it through discipline, repetition, and survival across crisis. Ascending the throne at just 25, she quickly learned that monarchy in the modern era could no longer rely on divine mystique alone. Her image, calm, restrained, unwavering, was deliberately shaped to project stability in a century defined by war recovery, decolonization, political turmoil, and media intrusion. The Queen's public persona emphasized duty over emotion. She spoke sparingly, avoided political commentary, and maintained ritual as reassurance. Over decades, this consistency became her greatest strength. Even as governments changed and public trust in institutions declined, her image remained fixed. The monarchy survived largely because she appeared unchanged. However, this legacy was not without stains. The delayed and emotionally distant response to Princess Diana's death in 1997 exposed the limits of restraint. The monarchy's silence was interpreted as coldness, forcing a rare recalibration of tone. Similarly, controversies surrounding Prince Andrew tested the image of moral authority the Queen had long upheld. In these moments, image management became defensive rather than symbolic. Yet, what endured was the Queen's understanding that monarchy is sustained not by perfection, but by controlled imperfection. She absorbed institutional damage personally so the crown could remain intact. Her image, stoic, maternal, restrained, became synonymous with the monarchy itself. This carefully cultivated legacy created a powerful template: emotional containment as strength, silence as authority, and visibility without intimacy. It is precisely this model that now requires continuation and adaptation in a new generation. The power vacuum after the Queen's death. Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022 created more than emotional loss. It produced an institutional vacuum. She had functioned as the monarchy's moral anchor, symbolic shield, and stabilizing constant. With her absence, the crown lost its most trusted figure at a time when public skepticism toward inherited power was already intensifying. King Charles III inherited the throne with decades of visibility, but also decades of controversy. His past marriage, environmental activism, and outspoken nature positioned him as a less neutral symbol than his mother. Public trust, while respectful, lacked the instinctive reverence Elizabeth commanded. Concrete indicators of this shift were visible: declining public support for the monarchy in younger demographics, increased Republican discourse following accession, and heightened media scrutiny of royal finances and relevance. The institution no longer had a universally unifying figure. This vacuum demanded a new stabilizer, not an authority, but an image. The monarchy required someone capable of embodying continuity without reopening old wounds. Prince William, as heir, remains politically constrained. That left Princess Catherine as the most viable symbolic counterweight. Her popularity ratings consistently surpassed other senior royals. She carried no major scandal, projected emotional steadiness, and maintained public trust. In an era of instability, her image offered reassurance, quietly filling the gap left by the Queen's absence. Why Kate was positioned as the symbolic successor. Princess Catherine's elevation as an image successor was not accidental, it was strategic. Unlike Queen Elizabeth II, Kate does not wield constitutional authority. Her power lies in perception. For a monarchy struggling with relevance, perception is survival. Kate represents continuity without confrontation. She is modern enough to feel accessible, yet restrained enough to feel safe. The royal family can leverage her image to soften institutional rigidity while avoiding the unpredictability of outspoken reform. Her focus on early childhood development, mental health, and family aligns with contemporary values without challenging political neutrality. These causes humanize the monarchy while keeping it above controversy. In times of reputational fragility, post-Meghan, post-Andrew, Kate's stability is a resource. Importantly, she absorbs expectation without demanding space. This makes her usable. The institution can project values through her without relinquishing control. In a weakened monarchy, such a figure is invaluable. Kate is not asked to lead change. She is asked to embody reassurance. That role mirrors the Queen's late-stage function. Less ruler, more symbol. In that sense, Kate is not replacing Elizabeth, but continuing her most effective contribution. Shared traits in demeanor and conduct. The resemblance between Queen Elizabeth II and Princess Catherine lies not in personality, but in discipline. Both demonstrate emotional restraint as a governing principle. Neither uses vulnerability impulsively. Both deploy it selectively. Like the Queen, Kate avoids public reaction to provocation. She does not clarify rumors or correct narratives unless institutionally necessary. This mirrors Elizabeth's long-standing refusal to engage directly with controversy. Their dress choices also communicate continuity. Both favor structured silhouettes, symbolic colors, and repetition. Elizabeth used color for visibility. Kate uses it for approachability. The intent differs slightly, but the logic remains identical. Clothing as message. Most significantly, both understand timing. Neither rushes response. Silence is allowed to work. In a media environment obsessed with immediacy, this patience reads as authority. Where Elizabeth embodied permanence, Kate embodies preparation. The shared trait is not charisma, but control. And for the British monarchy, control has always been the most enduring form of power. How Kate learned from the Queen. Princess Catherine did not inherit Queen Elizabeth II's symbolic authority overnight. She studied it in silence. One of the clearest ways Kate learned from the late Queen was through observation of restraint. Elizabeth II rarely explained herself, even during moments of crisis. From the Queen's silence after Princess Diana's death to her carefully measured responses during constitutional tensions, the lesson was consistent. Endurance outlasts explanation. Kate absorbed this approach early. For years, she avoided personal interviews and emotional disclosures, even as media scrutiny intensified. This mirrored the Queen's belief that the monarch, and by extension senior royals, should be seen, not heard excessively. A concrete example can be seen in Kate's handling of personal health matters, where information was released only when institutionally necessary, framed carefully and without dramatization. Kate also learned from the Queen's commitment to routine. Elizabeth II's strength lay in repetition, the same engagements, the same tone, the same discipline. Kate's early focus on long-term causes, such as early childhood development, reflects this strategy. Rather than constantly shifting attention, she chose continuity, echoing the Queen's belief that consistency builds trust over time. Most importantly, Kate learned that personal popularity is secondary to institutional reliability. Elizabeth II was respected not because she was relatable, but because she was predictable. Kate's evolution shows a deliberate attempt to internalize that lesson: reliability as leadership. The soft transition of symbolic power. The transition from Queen Elizabeth II to Princess Catherine has not been declared, it has been designed. Rather than a sudden elevation, the royal family has orchestrated a gradual redistribution of symbolic weight. This is what makes the transition soft. It avoids public resistance by appearing organic. After the Queen's later years, Kate's visibility increased in subtle but strategic ways. She was positioned more centrally at major events, her presence emphasized during moments requiring reassurance rather than celebration. This mirrors how the Queen herself functioned, as a stabilizing presence rather than a charismatic one. The palace also shifted media framing. Kate began to be described less as William's wife and more as a figure of continuity. Outfits referencing royal history, repeated silhouettes, and deliberate calmness reinforced familiarity. Familiarity in monarchy equals legitimacy. Crucially, Kate was not presented as replacing the Queen, but as preserving her ethos. This distinction matters. The monarchy understands that symbolism survives only when it appears uninterrupted. By allowing Kate to embody aspects of Elizabeth II's demeanor gradually, the institution ensured that the loss of one symbol did not result in a vacuum. This transition is less about succession and more about reassurance. The crown still knows how to hold itself together. The responsibility of representing stability. After Queen Elizabeth II's death, the monarchy faced not only grief, but uncertainty. Scandals, internal fractures, and declining public trust created a need for a new stabilizing figure, someone who could project calm without demanding attention. Princess Catherine became central to this need. Her responsibility is not to rule, but to reassure. In times of institutional weakness, symbolism becomes a form of governance. Kate's measured presence signals continuity in a period of transition. She represents the idea that while individuals pass, the system endures. This role requires sacrifice. Emotional neutrality, limited self-expression, and constant self-regulation are the price of being a stabilizing symbol. Kate's calm does not imply ease. It implies containment. For the public, her presence answers an unspoken question. Is the monarchy still stable? By appearing composed, consistent, and disciplined, Kate offers reassurance without rhetoric. In this sense, she is not merely a future queen consort. She is a bridge between an era defined by Elizabeth II and a monarchy struggling to redefine itself. Her role is not to shine, but to hold the line. Public expectations in Britain, reasonable or imposed? Public expectations placed upon Princess Catherine are both a product of collective need and an implicit form of pressure. On one hand, they appear reasonable. After the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Britain lost not only a monarch, but a stabilizing symbol. For 7 decades, the Queen embodied continuity, restraint, and emotional reliability. It is natural that the public seeks reassurance through a familiar figure who can echo those qualities. However, these expectations are also undeniably imposed. Catherine did not campaign for symbolic succession. It was assigned to her by circumstance and institutional design. The public expects calm during crisis, dignity amid scandal, and emotional neutrality in moments of national tension. These demands leave little room for human inconsistency. Any deviation risks disappointment or backlash. Why does the public need this? Because modern Britain is fragmented, politically, socially, culturally. The monarchy functions as a psychological anchor, and Catherine is increasingly seen as part of that anchor. Expectations reflect not just admiration, but dependency. People project their desire for order onto her behavior. Thus, public expectations are both rational and unfair. They stem from genuine social need, yet they narrow Catherine's space for individuality. She is asked not merely to perform well, but to be stability itself, an expectation no individual can fully satisfy without sacrifice. Kate's long-term role, the path she is quietly preparing for. Princess Catherine's long-term role extends beyond ceremonial duties. Quietly, deliberately, she is being positioned as the emotional core of the future monarchy. While King Charles III represents transition, Catherine represents continuity beyond transition. Her role is not loudly declared, but structurally embedded. She is preparing for a future where the monarchy's survival depends less on authority and more on trust. Her focus on early childhood development, mental health, and family stability is strategic. These causes are universally resonant and politically neutral, reinforcing the monarchy's relevance without controversy. There is also an unspoken task: absorbing public anxiety. As scandals, internal divisions, and Republican sentiment challenge the institution, Catherine's composure serves as counterbalance. Her presence reassures without argument. This path suggests that her ultimate role is not merely queen consort, but symbolic stabilizer, someone who holds public confidence when the institution itself feels fragile. It is a burden inherited, not chosen. The meaning of this inheritance. The inheritance Catherine carries is not one of power, but of expectation. To inherit Queen Elizabeth II's symbolic role is to inherit restraint, silence, and emotional labor. This inheritance matters because it reveals how the monarchy adapts, by transferring stability from institution to individual. Catherine's role signals a monarchy increasingly dependent on image coherence rather than constitutional authority. She becomes proof that continuity can survive generational change. Yet this also exposes vulnerability. The system now relies heavily on her consistency. The meaning, then, is double-edged. Catherine's inheritance reassures the public, but it also narrows her humanity. She is both successor and shield. In inheriting the image, she inherits its cost.